All right, all right, all right. Oh my goodness, I didn't think I was gonna ever make it here to you guys. Welcome to the Linda Jury Box Room Shaker. Good evening. Good evening, Claudia. Welcome to the Linda Jury Box, as well as you, Bougie, ain't here for the first time. You've been summoned, and I'm glad you answered the call. Okay, ask not what you can do for what the country can do for you, but what you can do for my country. It's a great judge here in Texas and on her YouTube channel, Real Judge Stephanie Boyd. And every time she has a new trial, she always talks about and tells this story about sacrifice and about how her mother sent their son off to war, and that's a sacrifice. And then she goes on to say how all that the country really asks for you to do is pay your taxes and serve on a jury if you're summoned. I'm glad to know that y'all have answered the call. Okay. Good evening, Miss Kathy Smith, PIC crew member. Good evening, Kurt Bixon. Good evening, living my best life, girl. You, oh, gee, let me tell my son to close the door. Hey, Sincere Seattle. Hey, Lady Steph, present and accounted for. Okay, okay, okay. And you guys, we are starting a new trial tonight. It is called in reference by the sex and torture trial. Okay, and I sound so morbid when I say, oh, and it's gonna be such a great trial, or oh, it's gonna be good, right? Because a lot of times somebody that lost their life, and I never want to take that for granted, and I never want to show anything less than compassion for the families of the loved ones that's been lost. I never want to minimize that. But in the role of true crime and trial watches, when I say a good one, what I mean is a lot of different twists and angles and a lot of different things that happen in the story, right? So tonight's trial that we're going to begin is the sex and torture trial, and it's the state of Tennessee versus Sean Finnegan. One moment, Reed. Have my son close my door. Okay, so it's the state of Tennessee versus Sean Finnegan. Now, Sean Finnegan actually had what's the word, accomplice in this crime against one Jennifer Paxton. Okay, so we're gonna get the details in the opening statements. I thought I uploaded this picture. Let me get this picture. I have never served on a jury. I don't know if it's because of my record or what, but no, I have never been called to serve in a jury. But if I was to be in the jury, I get called, I'll go. And they probably tell me, girl, you're a little bit too excited. Hold on, let me get this picture. So, anywho, Sean Finnegan there in Tennessee, he actually had a accomplice. Her name is Rebecca Dishman. Tomorrow we're going to hear from her. But this couple is accused of kidnapping Jennifer Paxton, who was homeless. And she was known, to be homeless, panhandling, a little prostitution here and there. But she still mattered, right? So they accused of kidnapping Jennifer Paxton, holding her hostage at his house, handcuffing her, torturing her by various different physical means and sexual. One moment. Excuse me. If that's not horrible enough, they go one step further and they're accused of unaliving Jennifer Paxton by way of a baseball bat. To go one step further, they're accused of having done all these already horrific. Does it get worse things? It gets worse. Finally, they're accused. Oh no, I don't smoke. That's because of these. I'm not even smoking anything. I'm just getting over this real. Well, I'm really just getting over this bad cough. But it just seemed like it'll never go away. You know what I'm saying? But the last thing That's is horrific, right? After they didn't kidnap the woman, after they didn't held her and tortured her, I mean, I don't smoke, Claudia. I got 2 years clean. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't take narcotic medications. I don't I don't indulge in any mind altering substances. I'm clean and sober, girl. But I'm glad you still love me though. But after they kidnapped them, held her hostage, tortured her physically and sexually, unalived her by way of baseball bat, they are now standing accused of also putting her body in a freezer that they rented from rental center, and they put the freezer in his bedroom closet. Okay, in their closet. Okay, so this is going to be, hey team me, welcome to the Nigeria Box. You right on time. So this is going to be so interesting, and quite honestly, I watched this trial a few months ago, but it's really very interesting. So I didn't mind watching with you guys again this soon, because even then when I watched it, I couldn't believe my ears. So I get to take a closer look at it. Okay. So without any ado, y'all, please hit the like. Thank y'all for joining the Nigeria Box. We're gonna go ahead and get through part one, which is gonna be the opening statements from the defense and from the state, and the first three witnesses. This live is gonna be right under 2 hours. Okay. All right, and of course, it's gonna go on the playlist. Let's get ready to get started. I always got something going on. Hey, chill out. Good to see you. Chill out, one of the hardest working people in America, child. Chill out, either just getting off a long shift or just getting ready to go back on a long shift. Let me see. Here we go. What's going on with you? Oh, there you go. Oh, Lord Jesus. Child, I always got something going on. Don't ask me why. Boom. There you go. All right. Opening statements. Tennessee versus Sean Finnegan. The sex torture trial. Day one. Share. Boom. Uh-oh. And there you go. Uh-oh. Hold on. Let me make it bigger. Child. Welcome to the Nigeria Box Foot Soldier. No sound? Okay. Let me see. Okay. Hold on. Let me see. Stop sharing. All right. Thank you. One moment. Oh, okay, okay. That's because I said it like that. All right. Hey, Tiki. Claudia. Hey, Emma. Okay, hold on. Okay, so break the sound. Can y'all hear it now? And Renee, you heard about trying to get into it?
What's this I hear about a body in a freezer? There ain't no body in a freezer. That's bullshit. This was sort of the culmination of the roads diverging, the beginning of the end for Sean Finnegan and his crimes against Jennifer Paxton. That was the interaction he had with an Oak Ridge police officer on August 5th, 2020. But how did we get here?
Hey,
You're going to hear the
Natasha.
evidence today from the state's witnesses, including someone who's there, including investigators. But it all comes down to the roads of three people. Sean Finnegan was getting investigated that day, initially, as what was maybe a neighborhood complaint. But what had happened to get us to this point was this defendant kidnapped Jennifer Paxton, brought her to his house here in Oak Ridge from Knox County, looked at Rebecca Dishman and said, "You want to kidnap her?" and hit her with a baseball bat across the head. He then chained her to his bed. The two of them engaged in raping her, kept her chained for days. She had to defecate in a Fireball whiskey bucket that they brought upstairs to the bedroom for her. And at some point he said he was going to kill her. And Sean Finnegan, at that point, strangled Jennifer Gale Paxton to death. Multiple times. It took hours, perhaps, for Jennifer to actually pass, because you'll hear that Sean Finnegan would choke her and then let her go, and choke her and let her go. You'll see the physical evidence from her throat, actually ligature marks from it cut open.
Damn.
After he finished, cleaned up the body, ordered a freezer and put that freezer in his house, wrapped up her body, and put Jennifer Gale Paxton in a freezer.
I don't know why that court reporting typing so hard.
8 months. Until, again, that's this I hear about a body in the freezer. So we have Jennifer Gale Paxton. You've heard a little bit about her. She was addicted to drugs. She lived in homeless camps, transient. Sometimes she was on Chapman Highway homeless camp. Sometimes she was at one near Merchants Drive. Those are both in Knox County. Sean Finnegan worked at the Pint House. That is a bar pub that is on Merchants Drive in Knox County. She engaged in prostitution. And it was something that she would do to trade drugs or money for sex. She ended up coming home with Sean Finnegan. Ostensibly for that. drugs, sex, good time. But she never left that house. You'll hear from Rebecca Dishman. She's the co-defendant in this case. You just heard me read her name on conspiracy charges.
Y'all, tomorrow they didn't try Rebecca Dishman. That's his co-defendant. Well, no, not co-defendant. That's his accomplice in this. She gets tried separately. She has not been to trial yet. But either way it goes, we listen to her. We're going to watch her testimony tomorrow. Okay, but that's going to be off this his thing. Let's continue.
Working in conjunction with him, and you'll hear she was there. She had a relationship. You'll hear her up from the stand right here tell you that she and Sean Finnegan were dating. She loved him. She was about 21 years old when they met in the fall of 2019. And by December of 2019, Jennifer Gale Paxton was being held hostage in the same apartment where Rebecca Dishman was living with her boyfriend.
Okay,
Sean.
thank you, Natasha, for coming through and giving me that click and view, girl.
So she's 21. She moves in with Sean after meeting him on Facebook in the fall. She has what is a BDSM relationship with Sean Finnegan. If you're not familiar with that term, it is bondage, dominance, submission, sadomasochism. It is a master-servant sort of relationship. And she's into that. You'll see that she was engaged in this as his submissive, and he was the dominant. He was her master. She called him master. Mr. Finnegan is in the early 50s, 51, 52 when they met. She also calls him daddy. The power dynamic of these two individuals
Hey, Miss
is very
Sassy
clearly
welcome to the
master,
Jury Box.
submissive, dominant, submissive, daddy, baby girl. She's engaged in this. She participated. The state submits to you that Sean Finnegan was in control of this situation. She's there. He keeps her from having cell phone access. She doesn't have a job. She doesn't have a car she can drive. There's one there that was her aunt and uncle's. She doesn't know how to drive it. She can't leave. No job, no phone. She engages in the sexual acts with Jennifer Gale Paxton. She is home when Jennifer Gale Paxton's chained to the bed. And she's there when Sean Finnegan is choking her.
Hi, the Beef Sector Podcast. Good evening.
That you'll see from the proof that Rebecca Dishman was a participant at the behest of Mr. Finnegan. You'll see that she was controlled, and eventually her dynamic with Mr. Finnegan changed from this is something I'm an active participant in to the point that she felt like she needed to get out. And she tried to get out. She went to neighbors. You'll hear from some of those. You'll hear about how she was telling them that she was getting hit, about how he was controlling of her. They saw it too. She goes and she gets a neighbor who's trying to get her some help, and it's like, okay, we're going to get you this shelter. So in August of 2020, they make arrangements to pack up her stuff, what little she has, and get out and take her to a shelter. They're going to go up in Campbell County to get away from here in Anderson County. One other person lives in this house with Sean and Rebecca. And that's Sean Finnegan's mother. I believe the proof showed that she was aware that Rebecca was leaving and notified her. Sean comes home and realizes she is gone and confronts a neighbor. Meanwhile, Mahogany Heck, Pico, she was Mahogany Heck at the time, Pico got married. She helps Miss Dishman. And they are driving up to Anderson, or driving up from Anderson County to Campbell County. And Miss Dishman says, I got to tell you something. And at that point, Miss Dishman tells her about the kidnapping, about.
Okay. I think Tiki is over. Tiki, I think you might be over at the old Seymour channel. Come over to Lit Lane. I'm streaming it over there. I'm gonna really start doing this only from Trial Watch with Demetra. I know that's my secondary channel. That was Seymour Lane. I switched it over, and I'm in the process now of building that channel with content. So we still doing it over here and chatting on Lit Lane, but I wanted to actually get these trial watches going on that channel. So I think the reason why y'all can't see Tiki is because she over there. Okay. And welcome to anybody who over there on Trial Watch with Demetra. That channel will be in full blast come January 2025. I'm just going ahead and building the stuff over there. So y'all should be able to see Tiki now. All right. So let's continue with this. And you know what's real strange is she's talking about the accomplice, right? Accomplice. What's her name? Rebecca Dishman. We're gonna see her tomorrow. Right? But it's real funny to me how Rebecca went along with the kidnapping of her, went along with cuffing her and having sex with her against her will, right? But then after they unalived her, according to the state of Tennessee, then all of a sudden now she trying to leave. Did y'all hear the lady say that? The state prosecutor say that? Mm-hmm. We shall see. Let's go.
Beating Miss Paxton in the back, about having her chained to the bed rail for days, tells her about the choking and killing, and tells her she's in the freezer. And that freezer is in the bedroom closet. It is in Sean Finnegan's closet. Mahogany says we have to call the police, and does that. And they report and they send them back here to Anderson County. So they are en route back here, and Mahogany calls her fiance, now husband, Colt. And he calls the police. So we have, again, these roads converging. Mahogany and Rebecca are on their way to Anderson County, getting to Anderson County. Colt Pico calls 911. While he's calling 911, Sean Finnegan, all these roads converging now, is on his doorstep saying you should mind your own business, angry at him, cursing him, and you'll hear that 911 call from Mr. Pico and hear from him telling you about this incident where he's telling the police, here's what my wife is telling me, and this guy's on my doorstep. So the officers arrived. That's where we began here. And said, what's this I'm hearing about it? And he says, ain't no body in the freezer. That's bullshit. So what happens next? From here, officers separate the two parties. Those patrol officers leave, and Rebecca is now arriving in Anderson County. And she's talking to people from the sheriff's office, and they realize this is something that happened in Oak Ridge. So she goes to Oak Ridge, and she gives a statement there, and they're like, there may be something to this here. This is quite a statement. So they put patrol on the house to look, make sure nobody's leaving, nobody's coming, going. They bring the crime task force out. They're monitoring the area, make sure nothing's happening, and they continue investigation. So we have these people at the scene, at the house on 318 East Fairview in Oak Ridge, Tennessee. And then we have investigators who are doing interviews, working with Knox County to see if there's a missing person from Knox County, because this is the information that Miss Dishman is supplying all of the graphic details of what happened and where this girl's from. They get an identification of this woman, Jennifer Gale Paxton, and they get a search warrant. And so they go into the house in the wee hours of the morning. It's August 6th, before dawn at this point. And they go in and look around the house. And they open that freezer. Frozen pizza and burritos. Well, that's weird. So they continue looking around the house, and they've monitored through the course of this. They've seen Sean Finnegan go out, smoke. He actually took a drive, went to a store, got some cigarettes. They have people watching him the whole time, goes back. So they look around. Sean Finnegan had taken Jennifer Paxton's frozen body and put it under his bed.
Oh man, I ain't forgot about that.
Investigating. Reassemble, put the shelves back in the freezer, and put in frozen foods. But investigators were able to find her. And as is normal in an investigation, called in medical examiner's office. And you'll hear testimony from the medical examiner about the injuries that occurred to Jennifer Gale Paxton before she died.
I have to cut in right here, right now. I have to cut in, right? See, this is why I'm watching this again, right? I can't believe he took the body. How fast could he have been acting for his girlfriend? Went and told the neighbors trying to escape from him, the girlfriend. She went and told Mahogany and Coke, according to the opening statements, about what did happen and there's a body in the freezer. They called the police. So how much time did he have before the police came where he able to take the body out of the freezer? Yeah, Claudia, with the pork chop and the Hot Pockets. Take the body out the freezer, put the shelves back in the freezer, put frozen food in the freezer, and mind you, the freezer is in his bedroom closet, okay? And then hide the frozen body under his bed. He tried it. And can y'all imagine that? I can only imagine that, and we're gonna hear from the what's they call the coroner and them, whatever, I guess. But I can only imagine, I would assume that because the body was put into the freezer, that preserved a lot of the evidence. Hey, AKD. Thank you for joining the Little Lane Jury Box. I hope you have a wonderful day tomorrow. Yeah, so this is day one. This is day one of this new trial, Tennessee versus Sean Finnegan. So, hey, we're going to be looking for you to be in the jury box so you can weigh in, okay? No, a cold-ass mess in this situation, okay? Let's continue.
Those blows to the head, the strangling, the wounds, the bruising. You'll also hear about injuries to the body after she was deceased. Her nose had been removed. Dozens of sharp force trauma, lacerations, cuts to her body that occurred after death. You'll hear how there's freezer burn on her. She had been there for 8 months, at least since late December, early January. It is indicated from the examination that the freezer burn and stuck to the freezer, she had to be cut out, literally cut out on her arm and the side of her face to get her out of the freezer, to then put her frozen fetal position body under the bed. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the proof, the state's going to ask you to think about the proof. Think about what you heard, what you saw in this witness stand, and apply your common sense and the laws instructed by the judge to the facts of this case. And state submits to you that when you do that, it will be evident that Sean Finnegan committed first-degree premeditated murder, that he raped Jennifer Paxton. He used a baseball bat. He hit her. He caused bodily injury to her. Sean Finnegan kidnapped her, kept her chained to the bed. Sean Finnegan worked with Rebecca to do this. Sean Finnegan tampered with the evidence, freezing her, wiping her down with bleach before he put her in there and wrapping her up. You'll hear that when this body was found, it had dozens and dozens of post-mortem injuries occurred to the corpse of Jennifer Paxton. At the conclusion of the proof, you'll see that Sean Finnegan is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of each and every count which he is charged, and we will ask you at the conclusion of the proof to return that verdict of guilty.
Thank you.
All right, so we just heard from the state. This is only the opening statements, right? And in the opening statements, we have discovered so much of what the state of Tennessee is alleging against Sean Finnegan. Okay? Sean Finnegan and his girlfriend, Rebecca Dishman, what we've heard and found out. Hey, my flower, welcome to the Little Lane Jury Box. So the parties that we've heard of so far, the players, like I like to call them, it's a defendant, Sean Finnegan, his girlfriend, Rebecca Dishman. The girlfriend lived in the house with him, and they participate in, engage in, as a couple, BDSM. And they real heavy into it, right? They live that lifestyle. The girlfriend called him daddy and called him master. He leaves her at the house with no cell phone, yada, yada, yada. So that's what we learned so far. They come up with the great plan. Of course, he's the leader of it. That's what they're saying. That's what they're insinuating. That's what they're indicating. Sean Finnegan decides to get them a third party who's an unwilling participant. That's our victim, Jennifer Paxton. Jennifer Paxton is homeless. She has a drug addiction. You know, she panhandles. She's known there in the town. And she also, you know, engages in prostitution. But she's living that homeless lifestyle. They take Jennifer Paxton, kidnap her, chain her up, handcuff her, abuse her, torture her, sexually, physically. The state is alleging they unalive her with a bat. And then they take the body and store her body for 8 months in a freezer that they store in the bedroom closet. The freezer is put and stored in the bedroom closet. According to the state, from the opening arguments we just heard, they alleging that it's the girlfriend, Rebecca Dishman, after all this didn't happen, that she didn't participate in, allegedly. That's what they're saying. Now she wants to escape, and she runs over to the neighbors, Mahogany and Coat, and tells them. And that's how the police become involved. The police come, and somehow, someway, we're going to find out, I guess. He had enough time, Sean Finnegan, to take the body out the freezer before the police got there and searched. Cut her body out the freezer from what they just said and put her frozen, wrapped up body under the bed. But the police find it. I think it's a total of maybe like 12 or 13 charges. That go from murder to abuse of a corpse. It goes to, hey, Miss Steph 219, you're late. Abuse of a corpse, hiding the body is a plethora of charges. Okay. So we finna get into with Miss Steph 219. I don't know how long you've been here, but baby, you know this is the first day of the state of Tennessee versus Sean Finnegan, the sex torture trial. You're gonna definitely probably want to rewind it just a little bit, about 20 minutes, and listen to the opening statement. It's a lot of information, you know. Winter says, I bet after all this is over, they will start finding out that this is not his first unaliving. Years down the road, we will start hearing these related cases being tied to him. Well, you know what? That's a safe enough assumption, because who starts off for their first violent crime, kidnapping somebody, torturing them, chaining them up, holding them for 8 months, unaliving them, putting their body in the freezer? That's a hell of a start for a beginner. Right? They normally used to have to work their way up to that. So we shall see. Now we're going to get into the defense. Let's see what the defense have to say for the opening statements. Please hit the like, and thank y'all for joining the Lit Lane Jury Box here with Trial Watch with Demetra. Child, I just couldn't even get that out hardly.
Open statements.
Thank you, Doctor. So yesterday when we were talking about perspective, and I told you guys this was going to be difficult. And the reason is because of the events, and the situation, and what you're going to hear is most of it is related to things that happened afterwards. And so that's one thing I'm going to ask you to separate. Your job is to figure out if Mr. Finnegan is guilty of something, what he's guilty of. And so you have to be able to separate out the fantastic nature of these facts, because we're going to be talking about stuff that maybe is not in most of our lives. It's not in mine personally, generally. So it's really hard to understand things from that particular lifestyle. But this is a lifestyle that all of these folks were involved in to some degree. Restaurants, late nights, drugs, alcohol, sex, kinky sex, weird sex. It was part of what they were doing. And so I guess I'm asking you to kind of step back and think about it, even if you can't view it from the perspective of someone who does that, just realizing that they probably view the world a little bit differently than you do, and maybe they would make different decisions when faced with different issues than you would, or that I would, or anybody would, that's not involved in that type of situation, okay? And so that's all I'm asking you to do with regards to perspective, because we all come in with different perspectives. And so when we have prosecutors, they look at things through a prosecutor's lens, right? And defense attorneys look at things through defense attorney's lens. It's probably not surprising to you that I see things a little bit differently than they do, or we wouldn't be here probably. Mr. Finnegan sees things a little bit differently than they do, or we wouldn't be here probably. We're going to talk a lot about Rebecca Dishman. They want you to understand this master-servant relationship, dominant, submissive relationship. And the age difference is a big deal, right? He's in his 50s and she's in her early 20s. And I think that they're trying to present her as mentally handicapped somehow, which she pled guilty to murder, though. But they're trying to present her as some kind of mentally handicapped person because she's the witness now. And the story comes from her. Nobody else was there. Sean and Rebecca Dishman. And Sean's mother, who he was taking care of, who was in hospice care. So who can tell the story, right? She can. So all of the facts that you just heard, all of the stuff that happened to Jennifer Paxton is straight from Rebecca Dishman's mouth. And so all I'm really asking you to do is I'm asking you to do the same thing they're asking you to do, basically. And that's to just pay attention to the evidence. And you need to ask yourself, how does that apply to what happened, to the versions of what happened, okay? Because Rebecca Dishman also gave multiple versions of what happened. Mr. Finnegan gave a statement too. And
yes, Claudia, that's why I ain't paying you no attention.
That the state's going to play it. So, I mean, you'll hear what he says happen too. And from my perspective, the physical evidence and the all of the evidence, the timing is more consistent with his version of events than hers. Mr. Finnegan works full time. He worked at a restaurant. He's a very simple, straightforward kind of dude. I guess he goes to work and he works long shifts. He doesn't get home till 3 or 4 in the morning. He supported himself, his mother, and Rebecca Dishman while she lived there, and a couple other people who he supported when they needed help and asked him for money or drugs or whatever. It's the lifestyle that they lived. He was giving people places to crash. So I'd like to present this in a different way. We have this age difference, and that's our natural reaction. I say it's my natural reaction, okay, to that when we see this age difference and they're poor, that the old man must be taking advantage of the young girl for sexual favors or for whatever. If he were Leonardo DiCaprio, we would say that the 21-year-old is taking advantage of him for his money. Maybe, right? I mean, the point is the perspective. And you have to look at who's in control the whole entire time. For 9 months, that body's in that freezer. She's alone at that house most of the time. Most of the time. Not locked. I mean, I'm talking about Rebecca Dishman, the one who tells the story of what happened there. The one who told the story that the state bases their entire case upon. Her version of the events. Okay. She was the one who was there alone. With Jennifer Paxton, he was at work. He worked in the evenings. So for 9 months, in a body in the freezer, or days supposedly chained to a bed, and all of these type of things, I mean, you better make them prove that stuff, because that comes out of her mouth. All of those events, and you also need to think about who was into this, who would want these type of things, who would benefit the most from this type of thing, who would have some sort of motive to kill the prostitute that Mr. Finnegan brought home. You're going to hear that they had threesomes before. This wasn't the first time that someone had come home. You're going to see texts where she's saying, it's time, I want to have sex with a girl. It's time, I want to have sex with, it's time or whatever. I mean, this was stuff that they did, all right? So who had motive to kill? Mr. Finnegan goes to work and supports everybody and likes sex. And smokes pot. He's an old burnout. Like a 6th grade education. Who's in control? She lets it slip to her neighbor, or she starts talking to her neighbor. Maybe she's getting ready to leave or something. I don't know. So she starts talking to a neighbor who's been hanging out with him for months. Stays over there.
Don't make me laugh about that judge, girl. That judge be making some funny faces. The judge do look like, are you kidding me right now? The judge is looking at him like, well, you gotta shoot your best shot.
They're all friends, they hang out. She's being abused all this time. That's what they want to say. She's being abused all this time. No reports, nobody. This friend's not going to try to get her out or help her in any of this kind of stuff. So finally, this one day, she lets it slip to a friend or starts talking to her about, well, he's just being abusive now and stuff. And maybe the friend's had enough of hearing it or something because she's not doing anything or she's not seeing any evidence of it, or I don't know what. We're probably going to hear from her. We can ask her that. But that day, she tells her, and then what happened? It's just now she's got to go with something, doesn't she? She left the house. She's got her stuff. She's got a friend. And from the very beginning, she knew who would get blamed. It's his house. He's a 51-year-old man who's there taking care of his mother. She's a 21-year-old girl who basically.
Boom. We just got another player. His mama. So his mother lives in that home. Now, if he's 51, she all of 70 something, 80, right? So all these things was going on in the very same house with his senior citizen, frail mother. Okay? Just wanted to point that out.
Gets whatever she wants to use as sex. And Who do you think is going to get blamed? Who do you think that she thought was going to get blamed? Who do you think he thought was going to get blamed? So I think at the end of the proof, you're going to find him guilty of some things. I mean, if they prove it, then you should, right? But there are two different things. He gave a statement to the police. She gave several statements to the police. She's going to get some more statements in here. But he also just gave another statement that she did not give. And that's when I stood up for him just a minute ago and I said, not guilty. For some reason, the state's given her a plea. She had lawyers too, right? She had lawyers too. And she had good lawyers. I don't think that they would if she was mentally incapacitated, I don't believe they would let her plead guilty to a first-degree murder. If they didn't think she was mentally culpable, I don't believe they would have let her plead guilty to a first-degree murder. And if she wasn't guilty, I don't believe she would have pled guilty to a first-degree murder. In fact, during the soliloquy of pleading guilty, well, most of the time the judge asks, are you pleading guilty because you actually are guilty? And they have to say yes. Okay? He pled not guilty. And we're here. They were both charged with the same stuff. She was also facing the death penalty. So who's in control? She goes out, she reports that he's got a body. She tells totally different stuff. That she was being tortured for like a month, chained to the bed, all these different things, that he's ejaculating on the body, and he's opening up the freezer, and he's doing all these things. That's all.
Say what now? What Kwani at? Kwani. Say what now? Come again. He was doing what? And so we just found out something else. We just learned, not about the ejaculating on the body, okay? But what else we've learned is two different things. We learned that Rebecca Dishman has pled guilty to first-degree murder before she turned state witness. And we found out that this is, in fact, a death penalty case. They are seeking the death penalty. I do believe, as far as the trial watch with Demetra, I do believe this is our first death penalty case. Okay? So this is a death. Hey, Silky Black, I'm not going to say it. You late. I did not say it, okay? Good to see you, Silky Black. You made it in time for the defense attorney's opening statements.
From her. There's literally zero evidence that proves any of that stuff. That's from her. So when the state says you're going to hear, they're right. You're going to hear, and you're going to hear it from Rebecca Dishman, and that's it. That's it. There's no denying something horrible happened. Something horrible. There's a reason why there are cameras in the courtroom and the media is here, though. Is because this is this kind of thing that people podcast about. I assume there's some podcasters in here. This kind of thing people don't.
I'm podcasting.
About, right? Because it's fantastic. It's sensational. It's you've got a body in the freezer. I mean, it's got all the hallmarks of a movie, doesn't it? And so when you're trying to paint a picture of someone who would do this sort of thing, we've seen so many movies. I mean, I've seen so many movies. I've seen so many television shows. And what's the profile of someone who would do something? You know, a middle-aged white dude, right? And he's sitting over here, a middle-aged white dude. And it fits the profile. And it's real easy to point the finger. But you have to consider where the evidence comes in. We talked about garbage in, garbage out. If you base your decisions and you base your interpretation on evidence that comes from a terrible source, or which would be questionable whether or not it's evidence, right? Because it's just something that's being offered from a terrible source or an unworthy source or an unbelievable source. That if you're basing your opinion on information that's coming from a bad source, then the conclusion that you reach is necessarily bad. That's the concept. That's the idea. So you have to think about where this information is coming from. You have to make them do their job. I mean, that's your job. That's your job, is to make them do their job. Just because they think it's true doesn't make it true, okay? Just because they say it's true doesn't make it true. Just because they say the evidence to us looks this way doesn't mean that's the way it is. It means that's the way it looks to them. And it fits in with the scenario that was presented by Rebecca Disher. But don't let them think that she's a victim here. That she's the victim, she's coming in here, he was pulling all the strings, she's this puppet, and she's trapped at the house, and she can't leave, and she wasn't. She was not trapped at the house. That's where she lived, because he housed her, and fed her, and provided her a phone, and probably glasses, and probably food, and probably every other thing, because she didn't have a job. She didn't work. I think you're going to hear her talk about she was trying to get disability. And we'll see if we'll talk about that, because she kind of knew the process. And that's also something that someone that has, mental capacity issues probably wouldn't understand the process. It's not a simple process to get disability. I don't know if anybody's ever gone through that process or not. You're going to hear that she has some depression and she's got some learning disabilities. Well, learning disabilities do not equate to a lack of intelligence. I went to law school with someone that was toward the top of my class, and she was dyslexic. It doesn't equate. So, depression. Half the lawyers and doctors and professionals I know have depression, have OCD, have ADHD. It doesn't equate to lack of intelligence, okay? So don't let them do that. Don't let them put her up here and pretend like she's a victim when she just pled guilty to all of these charges. Listen to what she says, see if it makes any sense, and then realize that from the beginning, she started telling the story, they bought the story, all the stuff starts to line up with the story she told, because she knows all the details. She was there. She knows amazing details. She knows the details about this woman's body, where the cuts are, all her tattoos, that they're naming kids here. She knows all these things. Well, I think she's going to testify to all that stuff. But she knows amazing details. You know why? Because she spent all the time with her. She's the one who was doing all this stuff. She's the one who was interested in any of this kind of stuff. She's a cutter. She talks about cutting. She's got depression, where all the cuts on the body, everything relates back to Rebecca Dishman. She's the one that's at the house. Then she goes out and she blames the one person who they know, who she knows she can blame. And what's he supposed to do? He helps her. And when he goes to the police, when they come and get him, of course he's scared. Of course he denies it. But once he goes in there, he goes, I know why you came and got me. I helped her cover it up. That's the first thing. That's his first reaction. And if they play his statement, you'll see it, right? You'll see the way he reacts to the police officer. And he's really kind of straightforward with them. And they're berating him. They're coming after him. They did not treat her like that. They treated her like a victim.
I have to pause right here because I got to get this off my chest. But this court reporter is working my nerves, okay? I don't understand. Lady, we know you doing your job. Lady, we know you own it. Lady, we gonna need for you to click-clack a little softer, okay? They need to put her somewhere in the corner. Golly.
And I think we'll hear that from the officers too, which is probably not wrong, because she came in and made some accusations they had to follow up. I mean, they weren't acting wrongly by treating her like a victim, because it sure seemed like she was a victim. And then the longer she talked and the more it changed, and then the details started changing, and then you can see the wheels turning in the officers, because they're good. They know what they're doing. And they started their wheels turning, and so, well, she's more involved, right? Because they eventually charged her with the same crimes. And now they need her to make their case, which should be problematic. Should be problematic. Because if they had enough evidence to prove what they're claiming against him without her, they wouldn't put her on the stand. Okay? So all I'm asking is to pay attention to the power, the actual dynamic, the actual power dynamic, okay? Servant and master, or whatever, servant and master, dominant, all that kind of stuff. We're going to see texts. She initiates most conversations. hey, I'm thinking about you. It's all sexting and like, it's just kind of gross. We're going to go through it, okay? And almost always the conversation ends with,
Not is kind of gross. Excuse me. Not is kind of gross. Child, he says it's kind of gross, actually.
baby, I got to go. I'm getting busy. I'm at work. And she's texting from her friend's phone, Mahogany, all this stuff. Who's going to come in and say, I guess that she was abused. I don't know what she's going to say. We'll see what she says. But I mean, you got to look at all of it. You can't just take the narrative that's laid out there. It's too easy. It's too easy. And I told you, this is not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. You're supposed to be able to separate out the reality from the narrative, right? This isn't, y'all are not writing news articles. It's not a narrative where you have to tell this linear story. They kind of do, because their job is to tell the story. And it's a hard job. And they've got to come and they've got to try to do it. But it doesn't mean they can't. And your job is to make sure that either they can or they can't, but you got to make sure that they do. Because the more we allow the state, well, the lower we take the burden, we're just notching away at our individual rights. We're just notching away at them. We have to hold them to our burden. That's what defense attorneys do, right? We wake up every day and we try to defend the Constitution the best we can. That's ideally what we're doing. Because we have to defend people who are charged with crimes in order to do that, right? And so then we come in here and our job is to make them do their job, because that makes them better. That makes the police better. That makes the attorneys better and the prosecutors better. It makes the system better. And the system is you. Y'all are what makes this work. And the way that you make this work is you hold them to their burden. You don't just take them on their word. And you don't just take their narrative as the truth because that's the way they see it, right? We're not on their team. We're all citizens of this state, and they represent the state of Tennessee. They represent me just like they represent you guys. They represent they prosecute for the state of Tennessee. But they're humans just like I am, and they see things a certain way. And if you're a prosecutor, you see things like a prosecutor. If you are a police officer, you see things like a police officer, because that's your experience. That's your life experience. I'm asking you guys to step out of whatever your life experience is, because you're going to be dealing with stuff that I think is probably not a part of your life experience. So don't jump to conclusions just because of the awe factor, because this is a shock and awe campaign. All right, they're going to show you disgusting things. Most of it happened after the fact. And what you're really here to determine is what happened before. What happened? How did she die? Who intended to kill her? Right? Who intended to kill her? Who intended to kidnap her, if there's a kidnapping? Right? Who intended any of it? That's what you're here to determine. Because if you can't determine that, then he's not guilty. Right? He's not guilty. He's presumed innocent. That he's presumed innocent. Beyond a reasonable doubt means that if there is a doubt, he gets the benefit of that doubt. Literally the benefit of the doubt. You've got to keep that in mind, because we're about to hear a bunch of crazy stuff. So please, just pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. And every time that there's evidence here, and there's scientific evidence, or there's something that's being introduced, ask yourself, does this evidence support what she said, or does it support more of what he said, or does it support any of it, right? Does it support any of it enough to be beyond a reasonable doubt for anything? That's the first thing. But this is almost like a he said, she said situation to some degree when you're trying to determine what actually happened in there. Because I think that there's not going to be a lot of argument about some of the things that happened afterwards. There's definitely going to be argument about some of the other things, but he gave a statement and he admits to things, and you can take them for what they are, and you can determine whether or not it proves beyond a reasonable doubt, but we're leaving that up to you guys. He did not plead guilty to first-degree murder. He did not plead guilty to kidnapping. He did not plead guilty to aggravated kidnapping. He did not plead guilty to anything on here. So anything that you want to find him guilty of, you're going to have to find him guilty of. And you're going to have to find him guilty because they proved it. That's the only way you can do it. It's the only way you can do it. And that's all I'm asking. It's real straightforward. I'm not going to try to pull the wool over your eyes. I'm not going to tap dance up here. But my job is to poke holes in what they claim supports her story. And so that's what I'm going to try to do. And you need to pay attention to see if what they put in here actually supports their story. Because if there's questions on responsibility, if there's questions on culpability, if there's questions on who wanted this to happen, if there's questions on who needed this to happen, if there's questions on who had the motive to make this happen, those are serious questions when we're talking about putting somebody to death. Those are serious questions, guys. There's not a more important case that you could sit on as a juror. There's not. There's just not. First-degree murder is the top charge in this state. And every time there's a first-degree murder jury, I say the same thing. I think. I try to. But you guys are doing the most important thing you could possibly do as a juror in the country. This is the top count anybody can face, and he's facing the top penalty anybody can face if he's convicted. Your job is to do your job. And I would never ask anybody to do more than their job. But you need to understand what your job is. And what your job is not to just kind of observe and take it all in. Your job is to literally sit there and critically judge every single thing that comes in. And it's a difficult thing because it's a difficult thing for me. I'm sitting there and I've been doing this a long time, and it's difficult to think about all the different facts. There's a lot of stuff to pay attention to. So the real simple question is, how does this prove what they're claiming happened? That's the question. Who's actually in control? The person that's testifying here who's still holding control basically over whether or not he lives or dies. Or the man sitting over there at the desk that says, I'm not guilty. At the end, I'm going to ask you to find him not guilty of first-degree murder. I'm going to ask you to find him not guilty of kidnapping. I'm going to ask you to find him not guilty of these underlying crimes that could even lead you to a death penalty determination, because he's not guilty of this. And I'm going to ask you to find him not guilty of those things. I told you there's some things you probably are going to find him guilty. Most of it has to do with after the fact, because he admits to it. And he doesn't, I mean, there's a psychological term, I think, and I may be using this wrong, but called projection. And that's where when you feel a certain thing, or your certain experiences, or you think a certain way, you project that onto another person as if they're the ones who feel that way, or they're the ones who do those things, or they're the ones who do that. We see it a lot of times in politics, I think, and that's more like intentional projection. But I feel like that's maybe what's happening here. Rebecca Dishman came in and she just started telling the police officer, basically, she reversed their roles. Not dominant, not daddy, and not the sex stuff, but she reversed their roles with regards to this. Because she knows all the detail. She knows all of them. And the physical evidence, everything supports the fact that she is responsible for it. And if it happened in his house with his ailing mother and everybody, and while he's gone most of the time, most nights, how is he guilty of kidnapping and murder stuff if literally he's not there? He's not there. I mean, how do you hold somebody captive? I mean, I guess with chains is what they're going to say, right? Except for that she was there. She was there. And she knows all the details. She's not stupid, y'all. She's not stupid. Make them do their jobs. Thank you.
Thanks, sir. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and take our morning break this morning.
Ooh-wee. Oh, my God. Lit Lane Jury Box is taking no prisoners with the defense attorney tonight, okay? Y'all have pretty much, and even Winter has a tendency to be one of the cooler headed jurors, right? Winter tries, tries and is able to relatively stay unbiased. We are 1 hour and 26 minutes into this trial, and half of the jury did already said the man guilty. In a real court, they have to dismiss all y'all. So we just heard from the defense. And I think it's very safe to say that the defense is going to definitely build this case and is building his case in a manner that goes to point the finger and to shift all the blame on the accomplice, Rebecca Dishman, who we have learned has already pled guilty to first-degree murder. She's taking a plea deal. So the defense is very obvious to all of us that he is definitely going to be pointing all of the blame at Rebecca Dishman. Okay? And he is going to fight the good fight to keep his client from facing the death sentence there in Tennessee. I don't know how they do legal injection. Oh, let me write that down to find that out too. Hold on. Tennessee death penalty info. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to research the Tennessee death penalty information, find out how many people that been killed recently, how they do it, how they administer it. I'm going to look up the defense attorney, his information, his record on death penalties, and his trials, cases. Let me see. So that's what we got from, and what we've learned is that the Little Lane jury box is not feeling the defense attorney 0% like 0, okay? And that's fine, With somebody said, wait a minute, somebody said the defense attorney looked like Charles Manson daddy. Wait. Are you talking about the defendant look like Charles Manson daddy? Because that I can see. Or were you talking about the attorney look like Charles Manson daddy? Because that I couldn't see. And I was like, wait a minute. Let me see. Who said that? Somebody said that. Living said he looks like Charles Manson's dad. Who was you talking about? Living, what you talking about? The lawyer look like Charles Manson daddy or the defendant? Okay. So, the defendant. Okay, I can see it with the defendant. I got a couple of more statements y'all said. Hold on. Okay, so Tiki said, if I was defense, I would be building my case on not guilty by reason of insanity. Blaming Rebecca ain't it. Now, when I saw this comment, I put a star by it because going for the insanity plea, trying to get not guilty by reason of insanity is actually one of the hardest things in this country to do. It may seem like people are able to get that ruled in their favor or be able to go for that successfully, but it's really very, very, very few people who can actually get that done. Right now, besides this trial I'm watching with y'all, I'm currently watching in real time the Coat baby murder, where this guy have like a little polygamy deal, and the defendant, the woman, his wife, she stabbed herself and she stabbed the baby, and the baby died. And they trying her defense is plea of insanity, and I can already tell she got a tough road to hoe with that insanity plea. So anywho, we finna watch the first 3 witnesses. They all short, and then we'll end for tonight. What I can guarantee you is that tomorrow night, you guys, it's going to be so good, because tomorrow we get into the meat and potatoes. Tomorrow we get to see Rebecca Dishman, his girlfriend, the accomplice. We're going to watch her testify tomorrow. That's all we're going to watch is her testimony tomorrow. But tonight, next up, we have, I believe it's a relative of the victim, Miss Paxton. and then we have like a co-worker of the defendant, and then we have the investigator. So, and none of them is real long. So we're gonna watch the first 3 witnesses, and that'll be the end of part 1. Thank y'all so much for participating and coming. I hope this has already whet you guys' curiosity and piqued y'all interest, and that y'all continue with me during this trial watch with Demetra, the state of Tennessee versus Sean Finnegan. Let's see the first 3 witnesses. Let me pull that up here. Okay, that's not how you do that. Okay. Okay. Wait. So you say on StreamYard, share. No. Present video file. Mm-hmm. I told y'all this was going to be a very interesting one. I knew I had to find something that would, it is just as morbid, but I'm going to try not to do the kids one back to back or that often, like every few months, every 3 trials, maybe do a child one, because that's kind of emotionally taxing. Let me see. And you know what, Renee? I have it in my notes to do some
and
research
tell
on
the jury, if you would, how it is that you are related to Jennifer.
Okay, here we go. First witness.
I am Jennifer Paxton's aunt.
Okay, and your sister was her mother.
Yes.
And what was her mother's name?
Patricia Dinwiddie.
Okay, and was Ms. Dinwiddie alive when Jennifer died?
Yes.
Is she alive now?
No.
So your sister and your niece are deceased?
Yes.
Okay. Could you tell us, for the jury, your sister's, she had multiple children?
Yes.
Okay, and Jennifer was one of her children?
Yes.
Do you know what year Jennifer was born?
84.
Okay, so she was about 36 years old when she died?
Yes.
Okay, and you know that Jennifer was raised in Knoxville?
Yes.
Carnes High School, as a matter of
Yes.
fact? Okay. But in the last several years, let's say let me back up a little bit before that. Jennifer had several children.
Yes.
7, as a matter of fact.
Yes, sir.
But Jennifer struggled with some problems. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Tell the members of the jury what it is that Jennifer struggled with.
Jennifer struggled with drugs and drinking.
Okay. And when did that begin in her life?
After she lost her children.
Okay. And so at some point in her life as a mother, she lost all 7 of her children?
Yes.
To the Department of Children's Services?
Yes.
Through her addiction?
Yes.
Okay. But you said that she really turned to those after the kids were removed. About what year? Was that?
I don't recall.
What are the age range of her children?
Then or now?
Then, when she died?
I don't recall.
Okay.
That's all right. How you gonna keep up with 7 kids that was already gone and out the
How
family?
old is Elena?
Alana
Alana.
would be about 12 years old.
Okay. And Skylar, the oldest? How old is Skylar?
Skylar would be 21 or
Okay.
just turned 21.
So is that the age range of her children
Yes.
that she lost? Okay. Tell us what was in the time frame when she died. Of course, we're talking about right before COVID hit, right back in 2019. Let me turn your attention to that about her life. You'd already told the jury she had some addiction problems.
Yes.
What was she doing, or how was she living or caring for herself back in 2019, let's say before COVID hit?
I'm not aware of that.
Okay. Your relationship with her had turned south sometime before that, meaning your contact with her had ceased at some point in the.
Bougie. Okay, Bougie. So, the victim in this is Jennifer Paxton. Okay, And I was trying to just now when it froze, but I gotta just wait until tonight. I'll have it for y'all tomorrow. I got the pictures and stuff of her, but I can't download it now because it's messing up the stream. I'll have it tomorrow. But the victim is Jennifer, and the co-assailant is Rebecca. Okay, so right now, this is the victim's aunt testifying. So the victim is Jennifer. She was 36 when she lost her life, when she was unalive, allegedly by the defendant. The victim had 7 kids, ages 12 to 21, and she was a drug and alcohol, a drug addict and an alcoholic. So right now, she's talking about the hard life of the victim, Jennifer. And yes, Miss Steph 219, they're accusing him. His name is Sean Finnegan. He is being accused, and this is a death penalty case, of kidnapping, murder, torture, and a whole plethora of charges. They kidnapped him. They unalived her with a bat. They had chained her up, and then they kept her body in a freezer for over 8 months. Yep. Yep, I knew it. Oh, no, that's what you had said. Okay. All right, so they're talking about Jennifer, the victim, right now.
Years
Yes.
prior to that, tell the members of the jury why.
I did not agree with Jennifer using drugs.
Okay. And what else was she doing to fuel or to pay for her drug habit?
I don't know for sure how she.
Okay. But you would be at times relieved to know things about Jennifer with regard to her drug habit that you've told us from the state, right? When
Yes.
was it that you'd be relieved to explain that to the jury?
I don't understand. Can you repeat that?
You told us with regard to Jennifer's freedom. Was she always out in public?
Yes.
Okay. And where was she living when she was out in public?
On the streets.
Okay. And where in particular would do you know what areas of town she would live in?
From Merchants Road, North Knoxville to South Knoxville.
Okay. And were those generally 2 types of areas she would stay at?
Yes.
Do you know if she got in trouble with the police from time to time?
Yes.
Okay. And how would that make you feel when that happened?
I'd be okay if she was in jail.
To explain that to the jury, why?
We knew that she was safe and off the streets if she was in jail.
And is that the stance that your family took?
Yes.
Who do you live with right now? Who do you live with right now?
My son, my grandchildren, my mom, and my husband.
And how old is your mother?
77.
And she goes by Mill?
Yeah.
Is that what Jennifer called her?
No.
Okay. What did Jennifer call her?
Mom.
Okay. Because she raised Jennifer?
Yes.
Jennifer did Jennifer know her father?
Yes.
Okay. She knew who he was?
Yes.
Did she have a relationship with him?
No.
Matter of fact, he's in prison.
Yes.
And with regard to Jennifer's habits, did she often appear at a certain particular time that you were aware of back in 2019? Did she have some particular custom or habit of appearance at your place?
Yes.
Explain that to the jury if you would.
Jennifer would always come to my house and get money from Mom
Okay.
on the 3rd of every month.
Why would that particular habit? What was happening that caused her to do that on the 3rd of every month?
Because that's when Mom would get her Social Security.
And why would your mom give Jennifer money if she's using it for drugs?
I don't know that my mom knew that she was doing any drugs.
Okay. But Jennifer would appear and get money at least from your mother on that regular basis
Yes,
every month.
yes.
And did there come a time when she stopped appearing, getting money from your mother?
Yes.
And when was the last time that you're aware of that she came and got money from your mother on the 3rd
December
of what year?
2019.
Okay. And so moving into COVID, of course, COVID in 2020, did you ever see Jennifer after the times when she would come and get money from your mother?
No.
You said that Jennifer did have criminal problems. Would she be arrested from time to time? You'd be relieved in a sense. Do you know what she was being arrested for, the types of offenses, what she was doing?
No.
Did she ever work a job that you're aware of?
Jennifer?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Cleaned houses?
Yes.
Well, that goes to show you right there, period. If you wonder anything about Jennifer, the victim's character, besides the fact of her hardships, besides her being an alcoholic and a drug addict, right? If you want to know anything about her character, I feel real safe in saying what I'm finna say. The fact that Jennifer was homeless, a known drug addict and alcoholic, who had lost 7 of her kids. The mere fact that people let her come in their house and clean up, that goes to show her character, the victim. Okay? That goes to show that no matter what hardship she was having in her life and no matter how she was living, she was trustworthy. I know some people who were smokers and stuff like that, but they had a good character and they was good people besides the fact that they was addicts. You know, you could trust them to go in your car and clean your car. They wasn't going to take nothing out of it. You could trust them to come up in there and clean up for a high little $30, $40 because they ain't going to steal nothing. You know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to Jennifer and my condolences to her family. You know, everybody, people think it's a throwaway part of the community because you're homeless, drug addicts, prostitutes. Everybody got somebody who love them. Let's continue.
May I approach her?
Sure. Okay, thank you.
What exhibit number are we on, Judge?
It's big 3.
This will be number 3.
I'm going to try not to cut in too many times.
What I'm going to hand you
I think
first
we might just
is
get the 2
I'm going to
witnesses.
mark
Because I don't like to go
Exhibit
over
3.
2 hours.
and hand you that, what's been marked for identification, Exhibit 3, and ask you, do you recognize that?
Yes.
And what is that?
Jennifer Paxton.
Is that contemporaneous or around the last times that you saw her in
Yes.
December of 2019?
Yes.
And that is, we moved that in as Exhibit number 3, live photo Jennifer Paxton, and asked to publish, let her hold it back.
Go ahead and pass that to the jury. We'll pass it through there. Deputy, if you'll take it up when they finish looking at it.
What I'm handing you now is being marked as Exhibit number 4, and that is, if you could take a look at that, tell us Exhibit number 4, what is that?
It's a map.
Okay, and what general area is that of?
North Knoxville.
The area
Kathy,
that you
you
were
better
talking-
say that.
referring to about where Jennifer lived? Is that
Yes.
fair to say? And the red marker on that, do you recognize the location of the red marker on that?
Yes.
No worries, Lady Steph. I'm just glad you make it over. You always come through for your part of the Little Lane Jury Box. On the stand right now is the victim, Jennifer Paxton, her aunt, her maternal aunt. And so she testified to the fact of the type of person and who the victim Jennifer was.
And what is the red marker in the middle of that map?
The Pint House.
And what do you know the Pint House to be?
A bar.
Okay. And do you believe that you saw Jennifer at some point in 2019, the last that you saw her in that area sometime in 2019?
Yes.
Is that in late 2019?
Yes.
Tell the members of the jury the circumstances of how you saw her and where you saw her.
I saw her coming or walking across the parking lot of Austin Steakhouse. I was coming out of the restaurant from eating, and when I saw her last.
Okay, if you could just mark an X and the location where you last saw Jennifer. Was she in a car, on foot, or describe that if you could?
John, you mind if I approach to see it? Sure.
Okay, and put an X wherever it is you're
Okay.
saying. Okay, and there's a black X.
It's a small
I'm
X.
gonna put a big X.
Okay.
It is hard to see. And that's basically in the roadway right near the Pint House.
Yes.
Did she look the same to you as she had in the past, or?
No, she looked thinner.
And with regard to that, was Jennifer welcome in your house?
Yes.
Okay. For what purpose?
To visit Mom.
Okay. Would Jennifer ask money from you?
No,
How come?
because she knew I wouldn't give it to her.
Okay. Based on the history that you've already described?
Yes.
Okay. We'd move that in as exhibit number 4.
Okay. If you could pass that through, please, that'd be good.
Were you aware that other family members were in contact with Jennifer?
Yes.
How would people actually communicate with her if you told the jury she was on the streets?
Yes.
When you mean on the streets, you mean homeless,
Yes.
living outside?
Yes.
Okay. And how does a person that's living outside, how would she communicate with family other than arriving at your house to get money from her mom, your mother?
Just arriving at our homes.
Okay. So in terms of her ability to communicate over phones or things like that, did she ever have that kind of thing that you're aware of?
I'm not aware of.
And what other family members would be, when you said where she could go personally, you said book 2 sides of town, the south side and merchant side. Who was it that lived on the south side?
Beverly Jeffers.
Okay. And who lived near merchants?
I got that backwards.
Okay, yes. Who lived on the south side?
Me.
That's you. You live on the south side with your mother, right?
Yes.
Near Chapman Highway, Walgreens?
Yes.
And is that where she would live, near the Walgreens?
Yes.
Okay. And who would live over in the merchants area that she would have a place to go to if she was over in merchants if she needed to?
Beverly Jeffers.
Okay. Is Beverly Jeffers here?
Yes.
She's seated here in the courtroom?
Yes.
Okay. And with regard to that, would she be assisted in things like laundry and things of that nature if she needed it?
Yes.
Were you aware, or did you ever become aware whether or not she was selling herself to fuel her drug habit?
I wasn't aware of that.
Okay. Were you made aware of that?
Yes.
Okay. So you know that now.
Yes.
And just to be clear, the last you saw your niece alive, it was within sight of the Pint House?
Yes.
Okay. Were you aware of when your sister, your deceased sister, were you aware of when she made a report to the Knoxville Police Department reporting her daughter, your niece, missing?
Hearsay.
If she's aware of when the report happened, or if the report happened.
And so you're saying it's not been introduced for the truth of the matter? So,
If she was have personal knowledge.
I withdraw.
okay, go ahead.
Do you have any personal knowledge of when your sister would have reported to the Knoxville Police Department that your niece was missing, Jennifer Paxton?
Yes.
Were you present when that
No.
happened? Okay. All right, Austin.
Good morning. So at that time, I'm sorry, I know this is difficult. When you saw her, when's the last time you communicated with Jennifer before seeing her in that parking lot?
It, 6 months before.
Okay, so there would be long periods of time
Yeah.
between her coming to your house?
No.
No, it was every month?
Yes.
Okay. And I think you said the last time that you saw her at the house was in December of 2019, so that would be December 3rd that she would have been there? I think he asked, well, I may be misspeaking,
Chill
I
out. That's the
apologize, but
defendant
I
in the
feel
blue
like
and white striped shirt.
that I heard him ask you when
long
was the
cap.
last time she was there to get money, and I think you said it was December 2019.
Yes.
Okay, and so that would be the 3rd?
Yes.
Okay, so December 3rd, 2019. Okay. And did you all ever offer her a place to stay? Was she welcome to stay at your house if she wanted to?
No,
Okay, why is that?
because she was on drugs.
Right, okay. And what would be the fear of her being on drugs at the house? What would cause you fear for that?
I had small children
Okay,
at the house.
okay. And it wouldn't be a good influence at that point.
Right.
That's understandable. And then you said that is it your sister that's Beverly Jeffers?
No, she's my cousin.
Your cousin, okay. But she lived close to Merchants.
Yes.
Did Saint
Do
City
you
come in?
know if she
I
saw
see Saint-
Jennifer
hold on.
Moroff?
Did I miss saying hello to Saint City? I'm looking to see. I see living my best life. Say, hey, Saint. Oh, boom. Hey, Saint City. I'm sorry. I didn't even see you sneak in. I didn't even see you. Good evening. Welcome to the Little Lane Jury Box. Thank you, living girl, because I had missed that.
Or less often?
I'm not aware.
Okay. Do you know if she had a close relationship with Jennifer?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you know if she offered Jennifer a place to stay if she wanted to?
Yes.
And she would have offered. So Jennifer could have stayed there if she wanted to.
Yes.
Okay. So that would mean that she chose not to stay there, right?
Yes.
Okay. I think.
Wait a minute. Wait. Sidebar. I know you not Silky Black. I know you not hollering you late when you didn't want me to tell you late. I know you not. So, for the records, for the Little Lane Jury Box, let the record show and note. Silky Black, you're late. You was late. Saint City, you're late. Okay? So here I am thinking living was making sure I said hello, but really living my best life OG was snitching on you. You almost snuck in. You almost got me, Saint. You almost got me. But you know your fellow little laners and jurors, baby, they gonna tell on you. They want Demetra live all day to say, you're late. Let's continue. Y'all horrible.
That's all.
Y'all just be telling on each other.
No, you're not. No.
We call it, no.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. You can step down. You're free to stay in the court. We're free to go. Thank you.
All right, Little Lane Jury Box. This is a great place to stop for tonight, right at the 2 hour mark, 1 hour 56 minute mark. Because I want to keep these in like doable portions, and I'm going to make sure that I come on as consistently as possible. I want to come like Monday through Thursday. That is my intent. That's what I'm going to try to do, like the 4 nights a week for 2 hours, and we should be able to get through it. I'm also making sure I don't pick like super duper long trials, and this was not a super duper long trial. So we're gonna stop right here so we can keep it to the time frame. Tomorrow, the first 2 witnesses are kind of short, and then we're gonna start and do the direct questioning from the state of Rebecca Dishman, and then we'll probably cut off then and wait for the cross examination. Okay. So I see y'all are interested in this trial, and I look forward to really hearing what y'all got to say as we continue with this. I watched this trial in real time a few months ago, but I forgot all like the little details and nuances, right? So I forgot all about the fact that I don't know if I even just didn't pay attention that he had actually hid the frozen body under the bed. You know, I didn't even remember that detail. Right? So this is going to be a good one, you guys. Thank y'all for joining. Thank y'all for participating. And I shall see y'all on tomorrow. And just to let y'all know, I took a couple of screenshots of the chat, right? And I did that so that just some like the different things that you guys was thinking and talking about on this very first night during the opening statements. And I took the screenshots so that we can go back to it later on in the trial and see where you guys are at. Okay? All right. Thank you, Kathy. Y'all have a great night. I shall see y'all on tomorrow. Thank you for joining me for Trial Watch with Demetra. Good night.